Okay, today we are looking at one of the most spectacular, jaw-dropping collapses in corporate history. It's a story of absolute industry dominance, staggering hubris, and a fatal refusal to see the future. Welcome to The Explainer. Let's break down the $50 million laugh, the fall of Blockbuster, and see exactly how an untouchable titan lost it all to a money-losing startup. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the Friday night ritual. So let's take a quick trip back in time to 1999. It's a Friday night. You're walking through brightly lit aisles lined with literally thousands of those thick, bulky plastic cases. The distinct, buttery smell of popcorn is just hanging in the air. You're scanning the shelves, stepping around other families, desperately hoping that the latest hit movie isn't entirely out of stock. For a massive portion of the world, this wasn't just a trip to a retail store, right? This was the Blockbuster experience. It was a cultural touchstone. It was the definitive Friday night ritual for us all. 9,000 stores. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that scale for a moment. This wasn't some regional chain or a modest franchise. This was absolute physical dominance. Blockbuster had a location in nearly every major neighborhood. They were completely ubiquitous, embedded in the daily lives of millions of consumers across the globe. And because of those 9,000 stores, Blockbuster sat comfortably with a valuation in the billions. At their peak, they were an unstoppable giant. They didn't just own the home movie industry, they literally were the movie industry. They controlled the distribution, they controlled the access, and they completely controlled the customer relationship. They were sitting on top of the world, and they felt utterly untouchable. But as we're about to see, being at the top can sometimes blind you to what's coming up from the bottom. Section 2, the $50 million pitch. So we shift our focus from those retail aisles to a tense, wood-paneled boardroom in Dallas, Texas. The year is 2000. Enter a man named Reed Hastings. At this time, Hastings is the co-founder of a struggling, little-known startup. His business model? Mailing DVDs directly to people's homes. No stores, no aisles, just the mail. Hastings secures a meeting and walks into that Dallas boardroom to pitch what he genuinely believes is a radical, mutually beneficial partnership to the absolute king of home video. $50 million. That was the exact number Hastings put on the table. He sat across from Blockbuster CEO John Antioco and offered to sell his entire company, Netflix, for a mere $50 million. Now, to a company worth billions, this was pocket change. It was a strategic acquisition opportunity handed to them on a silver platter. But Blockbuster's leadership viewed this offer with blinding arrogance. CEO John Antioco dismissed Netflix as, quote, a very small niche business. Coming off the dot-com crash, Antioco couldn't see past his own physical empire to recognize the true potential of direct-to-home delivery. He looked at this mail-order startup, saw that it was losing money, and completely dismissed it. The historical accounts of this meeting are just incredibly dramatic. Antioco reportedly had to struggle to keep a straight face during the pitch. He didn't just say no to Reed Hastings, he literally laughed them out of the room. It was the ultimate dismissal. But that laughter would soon echo back as one of the most disastrous boardroom reactions in modern business history. Section 3, the fatal flaw. It all comes down to late fees. You see, Blockbuster's mistake wasn't just a simple lack of technological vision. Actually, scratch that, it was a structural trap. Blockbuster was entirely addicted to late fees. At one point, they accounted for nearly 16% of their revenue and a massive chunk of their operating profit. They were building billions on the backs of penalty charges their customers absolutely hated. And what did Netflix do? Netflix recognized this massive customer friction and promised a model that eliminated late fees entirely. Blockbuster's greatest revenue generator was actually their fatal flaw, serving as the perfect antagonist in our story. And this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental divide. The Blockbuster model was heavily burdened by physical real estate, reliant on late-night penalties, and trapped in an outdated mindset. Meanwhile, the Netflix model was quietly and strategically betting on a cloud-based future, combined with a highly customer-friendly, no-late-fee approach. It was quite literally a battle of two entirely different centuries playing out in real time. Section 4, the Great Disruption. Now, technology waits for no one, and the pace of change was about to accelerate exponentially. In the year 2000, Netflix is laughed out of the room. But fast forward just a few years to the mid-2000s, and high-speed internet makes digital delivery a reality. By the late 2000s, the laughter in the Blockbuster boardroom had turned to dead silence. They scrambled to launch their own streaming service, but it was a severely delayed reaction. Netflix was no longer just a struggling startup, it was an absolute juggernaut. And then, the final blow. In 2010, just a decade after laughing at a $50 million price tag, Blockbuster officially files for bankruptcy. Section 5, the last store standing. Hundreds of billions. That is the current valuation of Netflix today. The company that was once dismissed as a money-losing, very small niche business didn't just survive. They completely conquered and redefined the global entertainment industry. They are the undeniable victor of the digital revolution. And then, in brutal contrast, we have this number, 1. Out of the 9,000 global stores that dominated Friday nights in 1999, only a single, lonely Blockbuster store remains open today, located in Bend, Oregon. It is no longer an empire. It's simply a living museum. It stands as a fascinating, nostalgic monument to a massive corporation that stubbornly refused to change with the times.
So, what does this all mean? The ultimate takeaway here is pretty simple. Adapt or perish. The story of Blockbuster and Netflix is a haunting reminder for every business leader, entrepreneur, and really anyone navigating a changing landscape. The world simply does not care how big, how successful, or how untouchable you are today. Resting on your laurels is a guaranteed death sentence.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Look at your own projects, your own businesses, and your own mindset, and ask yourself, are you ready for tomorrow? Because the future is coming, whether you're prepared for it or not. Don't be the one laughing in the boardroom when the next big shift walks through the door. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I will see you in the next explainer.